Hey guys, jump right into it. I touched upon this in my last video briefly, but I think we might be seeing a new pool of money, a new type of investor entering the Pokemon market. Is it happening right now? Possibly. But what I mean by that is take Bitcoin, for example. Before it was mainstream, you had all the diehards collecting it, believing in it, a lot of retail. And then once, the bigger money jumped in, think of hedge funds and money managers, and they made it more of a standardized investment, Bitcoin really took off. And I mentioned this to Kevin O'Leary, and his group of investors allocating 5% of their portfolio to collectibles. Specifically, he mentioned, cards, baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards. I don't know that he mentioned Pokemon specifically, but it's not a great leap to think that anybody that's thinking about getting into this would consider Pokemon as a pretty solid investment given its track record and performance over the last 5, 10, 15, whatever years, over pretty much its whole life cycle. And again, so think of like hedge funds and think of money managers. If those guys start investing into Pokemon, that is really going to have an impact on prices and specifically supply. One interesting note is, again, me, I'm trying to start a business, right? I don't have a lot of money. I certainly don't have hedge fund type money, but, how would they be treated and viewed by, say, distribution and Pokemon as a whole, the company? Because if their mindset is to collect, I'm pretty sure there'd be some distributions that'd be willing to work with them, especially given the size of money. But again, the big X factor or variable in that is what would the Pokemon company think about that? If you have this huge pool of money that comes into the hobby and starts buying up all the product, driving prices through the roof, and then you add on that layer where they're able to get this stuff at a huge discount at wholesale prices, you're going to see a pretty big uproar about how unfair that might be, their competitive advantage over us little guys. Even think of like LGS's and people that are small, retail guys, certainly people that don't have hundreds of millions potentially to invest. So that's just something I thought of as a potential catalyst as we move forward. Is it happening right now? Like I said, I don't know. Could it happen? I think it's becoming more likely. And again, I use that analogy of Bitcoin. Once this continues to show this strong performance, I mean, last year was a crazy, crazy year for Pokemon, where you saw 100+% returns across most all the different product sets within Pokemon. And I think that's going to catch the eye of people like me in the Wall Street community, where it's not just going to be viewed as a hobby anymore. They're going to look at this with a serious lens and say, man, there's something to this. And I see people like Kevin O'Leary and their investors piling into this. Maybe we should too. So I just thought I'd mention that. Last video I touched upon the print facility. If you guys missed that, I kind of did some back of the envelope math of what it might look like in terms of increasing supply. Specifically how it might affect, some of the really popular sets right now, like Destined Rivals or Prismatic Evolutions, and the whole print window being 18 months. I think that's interesting too, especially for someone like me, and there's plenty out there that are buying. I mean, listen, Destined Rivals is just killing it right now in the sealed booster boxes. I just watched a YouTuber talk specifically about that. The performance, I mean, it's doing really well. Even over the last month, it seems to be outperforming most Pokemon products, especially when compared to other Scarlet and Violet sets. So, what's going to happen in the printing facility? What's going to happen with potential new money entering the hobby? It looks like, just given the frenzy and the type of volume and price movement that we're seeing, the velocity of the price movement over the last month has been pretty significant. And it's not something you can ignore. So the other thing I thought I'd mention, with Ascended Heroes, that's creating new buzz. People have talked about the 30-year celebration that's upon us. That's going to bring a new wave of investors potentially into the hobby. And I also thought I'd just note in terms of like headwinds, and this may not even be a significant headwind, but the set after Ascended Heroes, I think it's called Perfect Order. That has got mixed reviews at best. It doesn't look like we're going to see the hype around that, especially when compared to something like Ascended Heroes. And I know that's kind of an unfair comparison because Ascended Heroes is being viewed as the next savior, maybe even the best set to be released in the Mega Evolutions era. But I just think that if we do see a lull in, say, the March plus time frame, the second quarter of the year, and prices either stabilize or maybe even they fall some, that might be an opportunity to start building your position back up. The problem with the trend is your friend and the price velocity, the movement that we're seeing across most Pokemon products. If you wait, you may not get a great entry point. Sure, it might come down, but listen, if it goes up another 50% only to fall 10 or 20%, you should probably be buying now, right? So I would just look at this, guys. How I'm viewing it is I look at catalysts, I look at headwinds. I think to myself, what does that all kind of look like? I listen obviously to other people that are in the know, all the YouTubers that have done this a lot longer than I have. And I'll just mention this again too. Listen, man, people trade markets, all right? That's just not some imaginary dude behind a curtain pulling levers and it just the price is random. No, it's people doing this, right? So understanding the psychology of what the market is thinking, at the end of the day, like, it's pretty clear what the market's thinking. Prices are going up, so clearly people are viewing Pokemon as it's going to be another banner year. So for those that are reticent to kind of jump in, you may kind of kick yourself 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, certainly 3 years plus down the road. You could argue there's a bubble. But if you had that mentality, and I'm going to raise my hand, I had that mentality on Bitcoin back in 2017. And I will say that the price did run up significantly, only to drop significantly. But long term, it did rebound and then some, right? So if you're trying to time markets, listen, man, there's a reason that 95% of people that try to day trade or invest lose. The long-term investor almost always wins. If you buy and hold, that's really hard to do, obviously. But if there's another catalyst, where people kind of like, well, Bitcoin did this, why can't Pokemon do this? Why can't other collectibles do it? And if they say collectibles in general, Pokemon would be toward the top of the list, right? In terms of what would be investable within that product or asset class, if you want to call it that. So that's kind of where my mind's thinking of things. I will say that I've continued to build my position in Prismatic Evolutions. Those sealed booster bundle cases have performed pretty well, not to the extent of what Destined Rival booster boxes have done, sealed cases that is, and sealed product. But it's moving, and a lot of stuff is moving in Pokemon. But if you're interested to hear some of the other positions I've been building, and will continue to look at and invest in, feel free to message me or leave a comment, and I can try to expand upon what I'm adding to my portfolio. But I really believe in this. My philosophy is sealed product, hold it. There's a lot of market saturation. If you're trying to start a business and flip singles or buy something for a quick hot take for to go up in a month or two, you know what? The way the price velocity has been, you might be able to be profitable, depending on your overhead and all that goes into the behind the scenes business stuff. But I would say this, if you're willing to hold it, even a year or two, I think you're going to do pretty well. I really do. As long as you're not buying packs and ripping them open and hoping to hit big chase cards. I think if you're new to the hobby, you got to look into that. But anyone that's been in this for a little bit of time knows that's pretty much a recipe for disaster. Again, my philosophy is buy sealed cases if I can. I will look at individual boxes, but I'm looking to build meaningful positions, and it's just a lot harder to do with individual boxes. And I just think there's a little bit more risk to that too, as well. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to keep the video shorter. Again, my name's Money Mike, Wall Street guy here. My passion is investing. I've been card collecting since I was 8 years old. I love it. I want to get better at it. And I just hope that if you have enjoyed this, you can hit the like button, the subscribe button. Maybe mention people like, hey, there's this new guy. He's kind of got a different take on how to collect and invest in Pokemon. He's talking about things like catalysts and headwinds and tailwinds. And, He's got interesting views on what the Millennium Print Group facility might do to the market, how that might affect some of my positions, like a Prismatic Evolutions or, Destined Rivals, that sort of thing. I'd like to be different in that sense. I think there's plenty of people out there talking about market trends and, specific market color and what's interesting and what's not. I don't feel like I'm going to be value add or advantageous to your portfolio by, kind of regurgitating what's already out there. But my hope is to give you kind of an interesting take or a different way to look at it, kind of how Wall Street people look at it. And I'll say this too, man, if as a Wall Street guy here, if I'm looking at this and I'm getting into it and I believe in it, and you got people like Kevin O'Leary, kind of not really, they weren't around for Pokemon back in 2000. And again, I don't know that Kevin O'Leary specifically is investing in Pokemon, but he certainly bought that, I think it was the Kobe Bryant, maybe it was Michael Jordan, but basketball card. So he's looking at trading cards, right? So if we get this new pocket of money, man, that could be a phenomenal catalyst in tailwinds to really see prices continue to go up. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Leave a comment if you want to hear more in-depth analysis about anything I've talked about. If I've missed something or you're interested in taking a position in something and you want to get my take on, kind of how I would view it, I'd love to do that for you. Thank you very much for your time, guys.